Picture an old man in Gilbert, Arizona. There is a truck in his yard he has been bringing back to life for 2 years. It was his father's. He works on it on weekends after the diabetes medication starts working in the morning. And by his town's local ordinance, passed in 2024, tightened later that year, codified, that truck is now illegal in his own driveway. Unless he builds a permanent opaque wall around it that hides it from the street completely. Tarp does not count. Temporary screen does not count. Permanent wall on a Social Security income to keep his father's truck in his own yard. I am Max. This is Outfox Apocalypse. And this video is about how that man's truck, and yours, is being taken away from him without a single ban, without a single law you can fight in court, and without anyone on the news saying the word no. 2 more snapshots before we go deeper. Seattle. If a vehicle in your yard cannot start and drive right now, flat tire, dead battery, missing part. By city code it is junk storage. First violation $150. Each one after $500 on your own land. California. Vehicle code Forever 22661 says that once your car is removed as a public nuisance, it shall not be reconstructed or made operable. The only exception is historic plates. The state does not just allow them to take your car, it separately forbids you from ever making it run again. Seattle, California, Gilbert, different states, different ordinances, same logic, your property, your land, somebody else's rules. This is not a coincidence. Here is the diagnosis you need before anything else, and the rest of this video is the evidence. They are not banning you, they are pricing you out. And pricing you out hurts harder than a ban because you cannot sue a price. Nobody had to coordinate this, the interests just align. CARB, the California Air Resources Board, wants the air clean. The Gilbert Town Council wants the lawns pretty. The dealer wants you in a 68-month loan. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation, the lobbying organization that represents Ford, GM, Toyota, Stellantis, and Volkswagen, in 2020 spent $25 million fighting Massachusetts. Question 1. A state ballot measure that would have helped independent mechanics keep your old truck alive outside the dealer service ecosystem. Different actors, different motives, and somehow, when all of those motives pull in roughly the same direction, it is your truck that has to disappear. I make a channel about survival, and that is why this video lives on Outfox Apocalypse and not on a politics channel. After a roof over your head, a vehicle is the second most important survival asset a regular family owns. If the grid falls tomorrow, if a hurricane rips the roof off the house, if the job closes and you have to drive to another state for work, what do you have? A vehicle. Not a subscription, not an app, a vehicle. The difference between a person who can move and a person who is stuck. And here is the part that makes me angriest. Those rotting vans and rusted minivans I showed you in the last video, the 7 rules for living in your car, those will stand at the curb until the very end. The people actually living in them cannot be fined into compliance. They have nothing to take. So enforcement starts somewhere else, with the people who have bills, a job, insurance, a credit history, something a city attorney can hook onto. The state goes after the compliant first, because the compliant respond to letters. That is the filter at work. Not the worst offenders, the ones easiest to collect from. For me, my old truck is like a hand. I know what sound it makes when something is right, what sound when something is wrong, where it creaks. It is not a subscription to heated seats. It is not a touchscreen the manufacturer can disable from headquarters. It is a tool I already own that owes nobody a monthly payment. This video is about how that hand is being taken away, not by decree. Quietly. One finger at a time. Here are the fingers. Finger 1. They close off the new gasoline supply. In 2022, the California Air Resources Board passed Advanced Clean Cars 2. One sentence: by model year 2035, 100% of new passenger vehicles sold in California must be zero emission. 12 states plus the District of Columbia adopted the same standard. Roughly 40% of the United States auto market. Picture this on the ground. A guy walks into a Ford dealership in Denver. Colorado is one of those 12 states. He wants an F-150 with the V8. The salesman pulls up the computer and frowns. The gas trucks are constrained this quarter. The dealer has to balance every gasoline sale against a zero-emission quota the state mandates. The truck he wanted, on the lot he expected, is suddenly not the same lot anymore. The salesman is not lying. The rules just moved underneath him. That is now. From model year 2026, automakers selling in those states must hit a 35% zero-emission fleet share, 68% by 2030, 100% by 2035. 12 states, 40% of all new vehicles sold in this country. Said out loud with almost no major outlet noticing. ACC 2 only governs new sales. The existing fleet is untouched for now, but here is the trap. As the new gasoline supply closes and the old gasoline supply gets worn down with what is coming next, you have fewer ways out every year, less choice, less air. And in June 2025, Congress passed and the president signed 3 Congressional Review Act resolutions that revoked California's waivers. California led 10 other states into a lawsuit. And the same day, the governor ordered CARB to draft Advanced Clean Cars 3. Lawsuit is still open. Nobody knows what rules apply 5 years from now. And a man who cannot plan gets tired. A tired man signs a 6-year loan. Finger 2. They wear down what you already own. In California, the Bureau of Automotive Repair's Consumer Assistance Program pays around $1,000 to $1,500 for the voluntary surrender of an old, high-emitting vehicle. More if you qualify as low income. Voluntary and means-tested, but the working vehicle still goes under the crusher, and the owner walks home without a vehicle. Then comes the technical trap. Every OBD2 vehicle since 1996 runs internal self-checks called readiness monitors. On a 20-year-old computer, they often do not finish in time for inspection. The truck runs clean, the inspector fails it. Working correctly and passing the test turned out to be 2 different things. Walk into any 2001 Silverado forum thread on California smog, and you find the same pattern: clean dyno printouts, secondary air injection monitor that will not set, 3 failed inspections, and a $1,500 retirement voucher waiting at the end. That is the system working as designed. Not a refusal, not a ban you can sue. Finger 3. And this is the worst, the place where allowed but unaffordable becomes art. Back to Gilbert. The Community Preservation Ordinance, Chapter 42 of the Gilbert Town Code, adopted June 2024, tightened with amendments later that year. Your project car can stay in your yard, formally, but only behind a solid, opaque, permanent fence or wall, high enough to fully screen the vehicle from public view. TARP does not count. There is an affirmative defense for people in the middle of a repair. Vehicle must be registered to a resident of the parcel. Cumulative inoperable time under 15 days. No more than 3 times in a 12-month period. 45 days of grace per year, total. Anyone who has rebuilt an engine knows that is not a window. That is a mockery. The fine is up to $500, and each day counts as a separate violation. 3 or more violations in 24 months, and you are a habitual offender. Civil becomes criminal, $500 minimum per incident. 2 or more inoperable vehicles in the same yard is an automatic accumulation violation under the ordinance. Second project truck waiting in line, you are already over the line. Now go back to that pensioner in the opening. Build a permanent wall hiding the truck from the street. Fit the rebuild into 15 days. Or pay $500 a day. Which of those is available to a man on Social Security? None. The right is on paper. The ability to exercise it is not. That is the whole point of this video right there, in one Arizona town. Figure 4. The neighbors. Other countries have already gone further down this road. Spain, every city over 50,000 residents now required by national climate law to operate a low-emission zone. 11 million Spanish vehicles have no environmental sticker at all, and as of 2026, they are getting locked out of these zones, city by city. B-label cars face the next wave in 2028. The local small business inside those zones puts it bluntly: my truck does not enter, my money does not enter. Hanoi, starting July 2026, central Hanoi inside the first ring road becomes a low-emission zone. Gasoline motorbikes banned in 9 wards during specific hours. By 2028, the ban widens to Ring Road 2 and includes cars. China, mandatory scrappage by calendar age, 13 years or 120,000 kilometers for a motorcycle. By date, not condition. And here is the story that brought this home to me. A friend of mine lives in a small European country. He drives a 20-year-old Ford with electronic fuel injection, 0 mechanical problems. 2 years ago, he failed the new emissions inspection. Not because the truck pollutes more than it did the year before. The standards moved. He was told off the record the same 2 options I have been describing this whole video: replace the entire engine, or send the car under the press. He cannot afford a new vehicle. He is in the middle of a mortgage, doing the renovation work himself, and he hauls every load of materials in the same Ford he just lost the legal right to drive. Last year, the country started rolling out automatic license plate cameras that flag emissions non-compliance. Every day, a new fine if you get caught. He cannot leave the city without one anymore. When they put a camera on every intersection inside the city, he becomes a pedestrian. That is the road this video is about. One step ahead, just across the ocean. In the US right now, nothing like that exists. But that is the direction of travel. Here, the same pressure points somewhere quieter, not at a wall around your truck, at a desk. Figure 5. The new truck loan. The finance manager's desk at your local dealer. Sign here. 68 months. $773 a month. 1 in 5 buyers pays over $1,000. Average new vehicle price is now close to $50,000. Welcome to ownership. Actually, scratch that. Welcome to payment. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation, the same lobby I named earlier, has spent years arguing against legal mechanisms that would help independent owners keep old vehicles alive. Every truck that exits the road via a state retirement program is a customer the manufacturer gets a second shot at. The retirement voucher is the down payment. The cap rules require the surrendered vehicle to be physically dismantled, no part salvage, no second life on the used market, and the funds go straight to the owner who, more often than not, walks them into the nearest dealer the same week. The government funds the crushing. The manufacturer funds the replacement sale. Nobody had to write that pipeline down in a memo. It just exists. This is not a new pattern. The 2009 Cash for Clunkers program destroyed nearly 700,000 vehicles in 4 weeks. A large share were trucks and SUVs from before 2000, with decades of service still in them. By law, every engine was killed with sodium silicate, poured into the oil while the motor was running, crystallized inside the block. Parts could not be salvaged, whole vehicles crushed. The used truck supply is still tight in 2026, partly because of what came out of American hands in the summer of 2009. The program was sold as an environmental measure. It functioned as inventory clearance for new vehicle manufacturers. And nobody had to call it a ban. That explains one big stat. The average age of a vehicle on American roads is now 12.8 years and rising for the 8th year in a row. People are not stupid. They are holding on to the old because they feel the truth this video is about. The old running vehicle is the last piece of personal freedom that does not require a monthly payment. The good news. The way out is simple, not heroic, just discipline. 18 states have no mandatory emissions inspection at all. Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Iowa, Michigan, Mississippi, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and the rest. If you live in one of them, the smog check weapon is already off the table, registering an old truck. There removes the inspection lever entirely. If you live in a California model state, run the documented OBD2 readiness drive cycle before every inspection. The cycles for GM, Ford, and Toyota are public knowledge, free, and they solve half the failure problem. Know your local ordinance, not just your state law. Gilbert is the example of how the harshest restrictions hide in municipal code you have never read. Build a relationship with an independent mechanic before you need one. The less you depend on the dealer, the fewer levers the system has on you. So, here is where we are. Not in 2035, not in some abstract future. Right now, this month, on the street where you live. They are not banning you, they are pricing you out. And pricing you out hurts harder than a ban because you cannot sue a price tag. Old running iron is freedom. Freedom from $773 a month. Freedom from somebody else's rules that change while you sleep. Freedom of a thing that belongs to you completely without conditions. So, learn your state. Learn the drive cycle. Build the mechanic relationship. Keep the old iron running. Do not surrender. Comment below, what state are you in? Has your truck ever failed inspection for nothing? What did they offer you to hand it over? The map for the next owner lives in your reply. Stay safe. Max out.